Okay, guys, let's look at another poem. Again, this poem was requested. It was one of the poems that you requested for me to go through, and it's a really lovely poem. It's by Maya Angelou. It's called Caged Bird. Go through this as quick as I possibly can. Remember, when we're thinking about poetry, every one of these videos will start the same way. The easy thing is to think about what's the poem about. So this is a poem about freedom. It is about equality, and it is about justice. The poet, the writer, Maya Angelou, is an American woman, a person of color, who was very aware of the fact that the society that she inhabited was, to be blunt, racist. And she was very concerned with the reality of racism and how it impacted upon her and her family and her community. And that became a kind of central concern in her career as an artist, as a writer. So, in that sense, the poem, again, these are all what we call universal themes. And don't forget, we like universal themes because they make the poem relatable. Because while the poet might be writing about something that's particular to their life and their experiences, it's also something which is relatable to everybody everywhere, because everybody everywhere understands the importance of freedom. Nobody wants to have their freedom taken away. We all want to be treated equally. We all want justice. We all want to be treated in a way which is just and fair and equal. So, in that sense, the poem has a particular context, but it also has a universal appeal. So the first stanza, the poem is built around nature imagery. I mean, it's about a bird, right? And the first stanza has a very direct, simple language. If you look at the language, look at the first line, first two lines. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 words. All of the words are monosyllabic, which means they have one syllable. So the language is very simple and accessible. Okay, we like that. We're going to say, well, you like the poem, you like the fact that the poet writes in language which is simple and accessible and built around images which are easy to relate to. So I'm going to mark some things in green, interesting lines, and I'm going to mark the 3 or 4 in yellow, which are the ones I would learn. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind. Great line. It's a brilliant image, isn't it? It's the verb choice leaps, which suggests energy, which suggests freedom, which suggests positivity. So that idea of like being able to jump on the wind and just take off is established from the start. And it's a very visual image. You can see the bird, you can see it getting onto the wind and taking off through the sky. And floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. And there's this lovely image of his wing being dipped in the orange sun rays. And again, that's a very visual image. And it's because of the reference to colour. Now, the sun, what does the sun give us? Light and warmth. And we associate those things with positivity. So the bird in the sun is emblematic of a positive life, of a life fulfilled, of a life of freedom, of a life of contentment that is established in that opening sequence. And then in the second stanza, and don't forget, a stanza is a section of a poem, not a paragraph, you have what is called a juxtaposition. So that's a deliberate and stark contrast. Instead of the free bird who leaps on the wind, we have a bird that stalks down his narrow cage. So the bird hasn't freedom, is restricted, can seldom see through his bars of rage. Bit of rhyming there. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. Now that I really, really like. And for me, if I was going to study this poem, or if I was studying this poem, I would try and learn those very simple lines. Now, again, note the language is, I said simple, the language is absolutely accessible. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 words, and 15 of them are words which are monosyllabic, or words of one syllable. So again, the language is easy to read and the imagery is quite startling. The image of the bird's wings being clipped, that's a cruelty. The image of the bird's feet being tied, it's evidence of a deliberate restriction of freedom. But the poet is giving us images of suffering, very direct images of suffering, which contrast greatly with the images of freedom in the opening stanza. But the poet also then gives us hope. So the bird might have its freedom taken away. The bird might be struggling within the confines of its cage. The bird might be experiencing how cruel life can be. But very importantly, the bird can still express itself through its music. Now, if you are studying this poem, you'll know that the whole poem is figurative. The caged bird represents the bird who has had its wings clipped and its feet tied, represents people of colour, African Americans, in the society that Maya Angelou inhabits, and the impact of um, discrimination, racism on their lives, and how difficult it is for them, but they can still express their identity through their music, through their song, through their art. So the poet is an artist. She's a poet. She uses her words to express her identity. So she has that freedom. And she's celebrating the fact that her people, who are like the caged bird, being treated unnaturally and cruelly, still have the capacity to express themselves in a powerful and memorable way. So that's a really positive message. So I would certainly learn his wings are clipped, his feet are tied. I would certainly learn a free bird leaps on the back of the wind. I think they're brilliant images to learn. And then you go to the third stanza. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill. A trill is it's like the tone of its voice, of things unknown but longed for still. And you're getting rhyming now and rhythm going. And its tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Again, I wouldn't necessarily learn that, but that idea of the caged bird singing for freedom, and you have that again juxtaposition between caged and freedom. It is easy to follow, easy to understand how the bird is expressing its desire to be released and uses its song, its music, its voice to communicate that desire. So this is her talking about why she's writing the poem. This is her talking about her experience as a a victim of um, prejudice and of discrimination, and this is her kind of determination to show the capacity and the resilience of her community in the face of their suffering. And the musicality, again, note that very, very simple language. Again, find me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 words in those 4 lines. Only 2 of those words have more than one syllable. And they are unknown and fearful. So again, very, very simple language. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees. I love that. It's very, very good example of onomatopoeia and sibilance. I'm going to mark that. I won't mark it as a yellow, but if you're thinking about technique, that's a lovely line. because you have the S of winds, soft, sighing, and trees, and you have that onomatopoeic sighing when you hear the sound of the wind as it goes through the breeze. Sorry, apologies. The breeze as it goes through the trees. And the fat worm waiting on a dawn's bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. So this idea of the bird will eventually become free. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. Now that's the third line I just think you have to learn if you're doing this poem. I mean, again, these are just my opinions. You can learn any line you want, just once you have some quotes ready for your studied poetry. If I was studying this poem, I think that's the core line. A caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. We've already got that, so that's repetition. Repetition, emphasizing the suffering. So he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. So it's a really, really interesting image. That's an example of metaphor and emotive language. The whole poem is, of course, an example of metaphor. She's not really writing about a bird, she's writing about people and their suffering. The image of dreams and the grave of dreams is quite shocking. It is emblematic of, or representative of, or symbolic of how difficult life is for people who suffer prejudice. And reading the poem is thought provoking because it brings to our attention, those of us who have never experienced this kind of prejudice, it brings to our attention the struggle of people who have their freedom taken away. And it's beautifully captured in just this very simple image of a caged bird. And the expression of its identity and the evidence of its resilience, again, evident in the beautiful, really beautiful image of the bird singing in order to maintain its identity and its value. So, really nice poem. I haven't taught this poem before in class, and I know some of you are doing it, and I hope you find that little recording of use to you. Okay.